Within these massive walls lies the world's largest palace complex, a sacred city built for the gods. Rising in the heart of modern Beijing, China, it stands as the literal epicenter of an ancient empire. Commissioned over 600 years ago, its scale defied the engineering limits of the medieval world. The ruthless Yongle Emperor demanded a forbidden sanctuary to cement his absolute divine right to rule. How did 1 million workers build this fortress of nearly 1,000 buildings in just 14 years? Historians believe the layout was aligned perfectly with the stars to mirror the celestial purple empire. Before any walls rose, an enormous 50-meter-wide defensive moat had to be dug entirely by hand. Millions of tons of excavated soil were systematically moved northward to form a protective artificial hill. This artificial mound, Jingshan Hill, was designed to block evil northern spirits from entering the complex. Historians believe the foundations were rammed repeatedly to create a base impervious to earthquakes. Specialized kilns across China fired millions of dense, heavy bricks exclusively for this imperial project. Granite and marble blocks were quarried from distant mountains to serve as the structural base. Moving these massive stones required an army of laborers working in perfect, rhythmic synchronization.
Historians believe the foundation grid reaches depths of several meters to prevent any tunneling attempts.
An ancient secret mortar made of sticky rice bound the stones together with incredible permanence. With the main foundations set, the precise geometric footprint of the inner courtyards finally emerged. Every single brick in the central plazas was laid with absolute precision to honor the emperor's path. Even at the subterranean level, artistic motifs were carved to symbolize divine harmony. Years were spent entirely underground, ensuring the palace had a bedrock that would outlast dynasties. Historians believe an intricate, hidden drainage network was installed to keep the complex forever dry. Imperial inspectors strictly verified each square meter, punishing any flaws with immediate execution. The base of the outer court took shape, rising high above the surrounding landscape on marble tiers. Heavy iron anchors were embedded into the foundations to tie the upcoming timber frames to the earth. With the earth conquered and sealed in stone, the foundation stage drew to a monumental close. Every detail below ground was now complete, clearing the way for the grand red walls to finally rise. Historians believe massive timbers were hauled from thousands of miles away to begin the structural framework. Nearly 80 million bricks were meticulously stockpiled across the central site before assembly could start.
Architects selected a specific imperial red color palette to symbolize absolute good fortune and joy.
Historians believe an inner river was constructed to act both as a vital fire defense and a scenic feature.
With the final underground boundaries secured, the foundation phase officially reached completion.
The core structure began to rise rapidly as thick, protective outer walls took shape across the plaza. Every bricklayer worked under strict supervision, stamping their unique mark onto the clay for accountability. Gigantic whole logs of precious Phoebe xenon wood were raised to form the palace's central pillars. The unique timber framework allowed these massive structures to be flexible enough to survive earthquakes. An ingenious interlocking bracket system, known as dugong, bound the heavy roof to the supporting pillars. Thousands of skilled artisans worked alongside laborers, transforming raw wood and clay into imperial halls.
The skeletal roofs expanded outward, creating the distinct, sweeping eaves characteristic of Chinese architecture.
Multiple layers of specialized plaster were applied to protect the inner structural brickwork from weathering. Massive defensive gatehouses began to dominate the skyline, guarding the entrance to the inner sanctuary.
Internal structural layouts followed strict imperial codes, placing the emperor's throne at the absolute center. As the structure continued to rise, intricate marble window frames were embedded deep into the heavy walls. Historians believe the pillars were wrapped in hemp and lacquered repeatedly to prevent wood rot.
High above the ground, the intricate roof brackets were painted with vibrant colors and real gold. The monumental Meridian Gate took form, designed to dwarf anyone who dared approach the sovereign. The core structures were elevated on massive three-tiered marble bases to elevate them physically and spiritually. Dozens of red columns now supported the immense weight of the primary roof structures across the site.
Every single window screen was hand-carved with complex lattices to modulate the harsh northern sunlight.
As the shell neared completion, internal layouts divided the immense space into labyrinthine imperial chambers. Heavy iron fittings were added to the massive gates, preparing the fortress for its absolute seclusion. The primary structural shell was complete, standing as an imposing mountain of timber and brick.
Historians believe the modular layout allowed hundreds of pavilions to rise simultaneously across the complex.
Lower administrative buildings used green or gray roof tiles, preserving imperial yellow only for the emperor.
An intricate network of interconnected corridors began to link every major hall within the palace walls. Historians believe strict material standards were enforced, discarding any stone with the slightest flaw.
The monumental core structural phase concluded, establishing the definitive skeletal grid of the sanctuary. Surprisingly, the heaviest marble blocks could only be moved in winter by sliding them on artificial ice roads.
Historians revealed that thousands of wells were dug along the route just to supply water for the ice tracks.
Records show that despite the immense scale, the entire city was completed with zero structural mortar failures.
A unique blend of organic ingredients was added to the plaster to make the massive walls completely waterproof.
Myth debunked. The palace does not contain exactly 9,999 rooms, though the number holds great symbolic value.
The installation of the signature golden roof tiles began, defining the iconic silhouette of the city. Each yellow tile was engineered with a unique glaze to prevent dust accumulation and maintain its brilliance. Laborers began carving the legendary large stone carving, featuring 9 dragons playing with sacred pearls. Historians believe the sweeping marble terraces were designed to mimic clouds carrying the palace to heaven. Thousands of stone dragon heads were integrated into the balustrades to serve as an artistic drainage network. Massive bronze cauldrons and statues were cast to decorate the vast courtyards of the inner court. Artisans aligned row after row of roof charms to protect the imperial buildings from lightning and fire. The number of mythical beasts on each eave precisely indicated the immense importance of the structure below.
Historians believe pure gold leaf was used extensively on plaques to emphasize the emperor's divine glory.
The central marble bridges were finalized, completed to resemble the sweeping shape of an imperial bow.
Vibrant paint schemes, known as hexi decorative painting, were systematically applied to all timber surfaces. Specialized golden bricks were laid on the floors, fired for months to produce a metallic ring when walked upon.
The monumental main doors were securely hung, each adorned with exactly 80,001 golden studs.
9 rows of 9 studs symbolized the ultimate imperial number, reserved exclusively for the sovereign. With the signature features finalized, the Forbidden City stood ready to seal itself away from the world.
Historians believe massive amounts of gold leaf were used to turn the ceilings into celestial maps.
Internal partitions were engineered to be easily moved, allowing rooms to change with imperial needs.
The unique yellow-glazed eaves were sloped perfectly to ensure heavy summer rains drained rapidly. Every dynamic hardware piece was custom cast, ensuring only imperial symbols guarded the contents.
The northern garden added a natural balance, completing the strict geometric layout of the complex.
Imperial sundials were erected in the courtyards to show the emperor's control over time itself.
Beside the sundials, bronze-grain vessels symbolized the absolute abundance of the vast empire.
The final red plaster coatings dried, completing the stark color barriers that divided social classes. Guardians of bronze and iron were fixed to every portal, signaling absolute authority and power.
Historians note the vast main plaza was kept entirely empty of trees to emphasize the emperor's presence. The sacred central walkway was finally cleared, prepared exclusively for the sovereign's sedan chair.
Dozens of massive water vats were strategically placed as the primary defense against wooden fires. The unique architectural geometry of the corner watchtowers completed the ultimate defensive perimeter. With the last interior privacy screens installed, the inner living spaces achieved total seclusion. The grand public gateways were officially opened, marking the final completion of the structural borders.
Historians believe the final imperial inspection took weeks, verifying every alignment against cosmic laws.
The official imperial seal was struck, declaring the massive 14-year project officially concluded.
The northern entrance stood locked, completing the absolute isolation of the inner sovereign court. The monumental gates swung closed for the first time, sealing the divine city away from the public. The pristine, forbidden sanctuary stood complete, a physical mirror of the eternal celestial empire.
Through an army of 1,000,000 men, the emperor answered his own question of absolute divine control.
The challenge of building 1,000 structures in 14 years was solved by modular wood assembly.
Ancient engineering and sheer human will turn a marshy plain into the center of the world.
By locking out the world, the Yongle Emperor secured a fortress that would outlast centuries. This forbidden sanctuary remains a monument to absolute power, carved permanently into history.